welcome to ChaosCarnival 2022 cast. I am Mukkara, CEO, co-founder of Chaos Native. Today, I am here with Robert Ross, CEO of Firehydrant. Hi, Robert. Thank you for joining on this show. And before we begin, let me thank our sponsors, Ferris wheel sponsors, Firehydrant and Nagaro. We had a great show, and this is a special podcast edition to talk more about what is Firehydrant and what can we learn about Firehydrant. Robert, why don't we begin with a bit of introduction about you yourself, how and why did you start Firehydrant? Then we can go on to what is Firehydrant.
Totally. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the podcast. So my name is Robert Ross. I am the CEO and co-founder of Firehydrant. In a past life, I was a software engineer, and I was on call all the time. So dealt with a lot of outages, incidents of every type, from emails not sending to payroll not running to entire full-blown data centers going down. So been around, seen a lot of chaos. And while I was an on-call engineer, I decided to build a tool that I wish I had in my tool belt. And that tool ended up becoming Firehydrant. So Firehydrant started, technically the first line of code was written in September of 2017, but really our company started in December of 2018. And we've been going since then. And our goal is to help people with all their reliability problems. So we're a reliability platform.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about how it works? How can an SRE or a developer use your platform, and then you can expand that into your vision and give us a bigger picture. What can we expect in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So as mentioned, being an on-call engineer, it can be kind of a very stressful situation, especially when there is an outage at 2 a.m. and you're responsible for reviving the website or calling other people and waking them up to help you revive the website. It's very stressful. So with that said, what we're building is the vision that we're chasing is a world where all software is reliable. And the lofty goal, as software engineers and all the people that listen to this podcast are probably in that domain, know software is always breaking in many ways. So, but what we're doing is we're helping people declare incidents very quickly. We're helping them communicate about those incidents either internally or externally to their customers. Internally might be to customer success, customer support people. Maybe it's up to the chief executive officer receives an email automatically when the incident is declared from Firehydrant. And we also we take the manual process that many companies are doing day to day and automating that. So when you declare an incident, it creates a Slack channel for you. It will create a Zoom bridge for you. It'll create a Jira ticket, send an email, notify another channel. And you can really craft the process that you want to have whenever you declare an incident inside of Firehydrant. And we also go all the way through a retrospective where you can run, and many companies call them postmortems as well. A retrospective can also be generated from all the data that is collected during the incident, right inside of Firehydrant. And the last thing, the product's gotten pretty big in 3 years. One of the last things is that we actually provide a full-blown service catalog as well. So you can add all the services you're running in production, staging, QA, and also map those services to the teams that own them, and also track all the deploys to those services as well. So it's a really comprehensive platform to help people better manage incidents, better manage their reliability expectations, and communicate about all of it at the same time.
Awesome. And also, I've been observing that there's a lot of activity in the area of SREs, right? If you see, the concept of SRE was started maybe 10 years ago. It was there for some time, but now all of a sudden, you see many companies doing incident management, technologies around it, or SRE in general. What, in your opinion, has changed to bring this new momentum? Why in the last 2, 3 years?
It's a good question. I mean, why SRE now? Why not a long time ago? Is a good question. So here's my observation. I think that reliability has become a forefront of people's minds because our software is becoming daily use more and more and more beyond our wildest expectations. I mean, refrigerators have software running on them now. And the world has kind of shifted to software needs to be like the electricity in our walls and the water from our faucets. It needs to just work. Um, and especially with this is accelerated with coronavirus as well because everything for a lot of people is now software driven. So effectively, we have this catalyst moment that has pushed everyone to use software even more, and there needs to be this title that is reliability engineering. So what we're seeing now is SREs have become a hugely demanded job title. In the LinkedIn jobs report 3 years ago, it was the fifth most demanded title. I think it was top five. I can't even imagine what it would be right now. It's probably still in top five, maybe even number one. So we're seeing. I mean, I think the other shift that caused this was we started seeing platforms emerge that would do a lot for us, and when we could start thinking more about the reliability of our software. In the past, when we had uh, people just system administrators standing up servers in physical data centers, that has gone away. We can stand up servers in Amazon. We can spin up databases now that are fully scalable. That didn't used to be the case 6, 7 years ago. We were still managing our own databases. We were managing our own load balancers. We were managing our own cluster creations and expansions and everything. And now all those tools just exist in Amazon, Google Cloud, and Azure. So there's this new, and what that means for businesses is they can take those resources, the people that were working on those problems, and reallocate them to start thinking about reliability much more. So I think that that's where a lot of the shift is also coming from too.
Awesome. So proliferation of platforms and availability of services on this cloud platforms. That's great. And is there any relation to the cloud native becoming more ubiquitous now, that causes more digital transformation happening? Is that a good reason as well for SRE to become more and more relevant? What do you think?
I think so. I think that it standardizes the title. I think when you start to have the same open source software running systems, I mean, Kubernetes really has become like a really widely adopted system so quickly. I don't think it's out of the question to start seeing SRE be decomposed even more to Kubernetes reliability engineer. And we could start to see like these other reliability titles start coming out of the cloud native ecosystem. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing uh, deployment reliability engineer
Yeah.
or even observability reliability engineer. As these companies get so big, it makes sense. It's no longer site reliability. It's a totally different facet once the company gets big enough.
Yeah.
So yes, I do think that cloud native projects are going to start to change the title a little bit too.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've seen cloud native developers. Maybe it's time we see cloud native SREs, that categorization. That's awesome. Back to Firehydrant, I see that Firehydrant is a platform for developers as well. Here we are talking about SREs, and one thing that I can first think of is incident management is for SREs, and where is developer coming in? Maybe that's a question on others' minds too. So it'll help to hear it directly from you. Why developer gets involved into incident management?
Yeah, so we're a big believer in the service ownership model where you build it, you own it, you run it. And that does include getting paged for, if your stuff breaks because of, let's just use a bad deploy, that team, in our point of view, is the one that should be responding. Doesn't mean that Firehydrant doesn't work for also the SREs of the world, where the SREs are always responding to incidents as well. We work both for both cases, but our belief is that service ownership tied with incident management is going to be the best product to solve the problem of quickly mitigating incidents. And that's why our product does have such a comprehensive service catalog baked right into it, and interacts and integrates exceptionally well with the incident management portion of our product as well. In our incident management tool, you can add all of the services that are owned by a team very quickly into an incident. It's not just one incident, one service. We allow you to add multiple services, multiple environments, multiple teams. So I think that's
Awesome.
a big difference for us, is that you build it, you own it, is we are built for that type of organization.
Awesome. I think that shift is happening. Service ownership for the entire DevOps, rather than just who deploys it, is an awesome shift that's happening, and that really brings to what I believe is happening on chaos engineering as well, right? So I'm a strong believer in chaos engineering is not just for ops. It is a responsibility that can help both developers as well as the QA. So, as a segue into chaos engineering, I would like to chat a little bit about what you think is the relevance of chaos engineering to incident management and service reliability. Um, Robert.
Yeah, I think that chaos engineering has always been a very close sibling of incident management in one way, shape, or form. And the way I think about it is that chaos engineering doesn't have to mean you're always simply breaking the system to see what happens. Yes, that's a core tenet, and I'm not trying to say that's not the case in chaos engineering is. What I'm saying is that you can use chaos engineering to test other things, not just how your system behaves. How do your people behave when it breaks, right? So if I use chaos engineering, I inject in, let's just say, network latency on the database, and that starts causing 504s on the site. That is a perfect opportunity to practice your incident management. And in a lot of cities, it's common that you'll see fire drills happening. In New York City, we always had to do, every 6 months, it felt like, a fire drill to practice, if there's a fire, what do we do? And there was a fire marshal that would come into the building, explain what to do if there was a fire, and we practiced, and there was even an incident commander assigned in our floor. And I always thought about that, was like, that is practicing incident management just for a real fire. And chaos engineering could do the same thing. Even with my co-founder, Dylan, I actually put him in a room and I asked him, I need you to pretend there's an incident and update the status page. And I recorded him with my phone, and we revealed extremely fast that he didn't have access to the status page. He didn't have a username login. So by using chaos engineering, you can basically practice your incident management as well. And I think that's equally as important as checking for where your faults and where things will break in your system too.
Awesome. So in chaos engineering, there is a standard metric MTTR, mean time to recover. Now I'm hearing there could be a new metric, mean time to respond, right, with people. So probably I should start talking about it. It's a great use case of chaos engineering to do measure the response times of people, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So are your users using chaos engineering to test that? Have you seen people using chaos that way?
Yeah, we have a number of customers that utilize chaos engineering in their organizations, and then Firehydrant also has the ability to run what we call a game day incident.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to what we were saying, in tandem, people are able to use Firehydrant to practice their incident response as well. So it's it's cool to see. I think that people are getting very mature. There's a lot of businesses that are focusing on maturing this process and making sure everyone's on the same page. Because for a lot of businesses, it is ad hoc freakouts whenever there's anything that breaks. So I think that that's why we're starting to see this shift right now.
Awesome. So that's being spread across various areas such as incident management, chaos engineering. I mean, so that's awesome. Does Fire Hydrant offer any integration points for chaos engineering tools like Litmus or others to do any automation of this failures injection failure injections?
We don't offer any first class integrations today, but Firehydrant is an API first shop. Everything we do, we build the API first and we build the front end on top of it. So people integrate with Firehydrant in really unique and creative ways constantly. So if people did want to integrate with Firehydrant, we're certainly, all of our APIs are available for people to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, I will advocate in the community if there's any interest for sure. Um, so, as a parting question to this discussion, I would like to ask, what do you think about the role of SRE being changed in the next 2 3 years? You briefly touched upon it's not just the site reliability, but can you expand on that? There is this new job role, SRE. The system administrators are old concept. SREs are the new concept. So, where do you see this going? What can we expect from the role change point of view?
Yeah, I don't want to be so bold to say that system administration titles are going away or DevOps titles are going away. I actually think that they all have a place, and I actually don't think that DevOps or SRE is mutually exclusive. But that's a topic for another day. I think what's going to happen with SRE is I don't think it's actually going to evolve that much. I think we're just going to get better at it. We look at a lot of organizations today, what they've done is they've simply renamed their DevOps engineers to SREs. And the problem with that is that SRE really is a fundamentally different title. It is, you are literally engineering systems, building systems with the outcome of better reliability. It's not a if an SRE is spending their time mostly reacting to things, they're not doing their job very well because they're supposed to be building tools that allow them to not react. And maybe it's not their fault, right? Maybe it's the organization not carving out enough time for them to build the systems to resize clusters when there's suddenly a traffic increase, resize disks automatically, building the internal tools to let people do that. And I think that we're just going to, over the next 2 years, we're going to see the title be more appropriately used, is my prediction. And then maybe a little bit after that, we'll start to see it decompose into something new.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like definitely, we're going to see some changes happening in terms of evolution of SRE space. It's already happening. Thank you for that. As at the end, do you have any comments to leave to the audience before we close, Robert?
I think my big thing that I say all the time now is that we need to start thinking about reliability as a business metric, not an engineering metric. There's a lot of organizations out there that are measuring the engineering org as the reliability stakeholder, which is not, they are a stakeholder, but not the sole stakeholder. And I think that we need to realize that all of these efforts that we're doing, chaos engineering, better incident management, better detection of these incidents, is all really increasing the business reliability. If you have an outage, marketing is impacted, right? Maybe they're running an ad campaign and it's going to a website that isn't loading. Marketing is going to get hit. Their click through rate no longer matters for that hour, right? Maybe lawyers need to get involved to do SLA refunds. How long does it take to do that? So I would like everyone to start thinking about reliability as a business metric, not an engineering metric, because it benefits everyone in the company, not just engineering. And
Awesome.
that's all I'm going to close out.
Awesome. Reliability is a business metric. That's the takeaway. And the key message also I took was service ownership for everyone. That was a good learning for me too. So, Robert, thank you very much for coming on to this show. I wish you good luck. Firehydrant will see new heights for sure. So, all the best and thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.